Hey y'all, in today's video I'm going to be sharing some books for Hispanic Heritage Month. Let's get into it. Alright, before we get into this awesome book stack, please make sure you head on down, give this video a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, I really hope that you will consider it. My name is Kaela. I am a second generation homeschool mom to two girls, age 7 and almost 5. We are a Latino family living in South Central Texas, and I love to share all sorts of resources and books for homeschooling, and I'm very excited to share some of these books celebrating Latino heritage with y'all. So Hispanic Heritage Month, or Latinx Heritage Month, actually started in September. So it is September 15th to October 15th. And we are in early October right now, so we are about halfway through this special month. Drop a comment below. I would love to hear if you are doing anything in your homeschool to celebrate or learn more about Hispanic or Latinx culture and heritage during this special month. So our family specifically, we have Mexican heritage. My husband is third generation Mexican American. I am biracial. I do have Mexican heritage on my father's side. My father is Latino. It is really important for my husband and I in our homeschool and in raising our girls to help them see the beauty of our cultural heritage and help them to feel connected with it. And there's lots of different ways that we are doing that. We do it all the time, year round, in the food that we eat, in the music that we listen to, in the cultural events that we go to in our city and in our community, which is predominantly Hispanic, predominantly Mexican American. Really, every month is Hispanic Heritage Month for us. But for this month, I definitely wanted to bring in some more cultural learning and some more representation in our books and what we're looking at so that we can celebrate not only our Latino culture, but also celebrate the diversity that's found across Latin America and across the Latino and Hispanic experience here in the States. So without further ado, let me show you some amazing books that we were able to pick up at the library for this month. The first book that I have for you guys is called The Best Mariachi in the World. This is a super cute picture book. This book is not an Own Voices book, so this is not written, as far as I can tell, by a Latino author. However, it is written by someone who was very familiar with the Latino community and who really spent time in the community learning about it. All of that is explained on the cover jacket when you're reading about the author. This book is the story of a little boy named Gustavo, who is really made to feel like he is not talented enough as a musician to be a part of his family's mariachi band. And he is pretty disappointed with himself. But the story does have a happy ending. The illustrations in this book are really beautiful, and I found the story to be very relatable. My girls could definitely see themselves and their family a little bit in this story, and we really enjoyed it. This book is also not an Own Voices book. It's called A Paintbrush for Paco, and it is written by an 8th grade Spanish teacher who again has invested in spending time in the culture, spending time with the language. But this is a beautiful book. The illustrations are so colorful and gorgeous. And this book is about a little boy who has a lot of trouble focusing in class, but he's actually a very talented artist. Rather than chastise him for not focusing in class, his teacher actually really embraces this talent that this little boy has, and he sort of guides him towards being able to focus more on the pursuit of his art, which I thought was such a great lesson for us educators, whether we are teachers in the school system or whether we're homeschool parents, for us to really be able to focus on what gives our kids joy? What are they really good at? How can they pursue that more and spend more time on that? So I thought this story was really cute and just has kind of a good lesson for kids and grown-ups alike. The next book I have for you is an Own Voices book. So this is Planting Stories, The Life of Librarian and Storyteller Pura Beltre. So this is actually a nonfiction picture book talking about a real person who brought her Puerto Rican heritage and folklore and stories to the New York City libraries and to kids all over the city. I myself had not heard of Pura Beltre, so it was really nice to learn her story and how much passion she had for the stories that she grew up with in Puerto Rico and how she really wanted to share that heritage as an immigrant coming to New York. They now have a literary award called the Pura Beltre Award, and it is an honor for an author to receive that award. And I think in my stack we actually have some winners of that award. The next book in my stack is Tito Puente, Mambo King, or Rey del Mambo. Again, this is a non-fiction picture book about a real musician. The illustrations are beautiful. This book is written in English and Spanish right next to each other, which is really nice, especially if, like us, you are trying to learn Spanish, incorporate more Spanish into your homeschool. Books like this are very helpful for that. It follows Tito Puente from when he's a little boy, how he's always loved music and dreamed of being a musician, and then all the way through to his finding success in that career. So really, really inspiring story and fun to read. The next book I have for you is also by Monica Brown. It's called Butterflies on Carmen Street, or Mariposas en la Calle Carmen. And again, we have the text written in English and Spanish. This book is a really beautiful story of a little girl who's noticing the seasonal migration of monarch butterflies in her community. And her grandfather actually used to live in the area in Mexico where the monarch butterflies go every year. So he is telling her all about that, and they're getting to really enjoy this experience together. It also features her learning the life cycle of the monarch butterfly in her school. So if you were studying monarch butterflies, this would be a great book to pick up. And it's also just great for this time of year. The next book in our stack is Book Fiesta, Celebrate Children's Day / Book Day. Again, we have the text written in English and in Spanish. This book is so colorful and beautiful, and it is talking about a holiday that Pat Mora, who's a very famous author of books featuring Latino culture and featuring Spanish language, it's a real holiday that she actually founded, a holiday for children's books. The next book I picked up is Danza. This book is an award winner of the Pura Beltre honor, and it is the story of Amalia Hernandez and the Ballet Folclorio de Mexico. Amalia Hernandez was a famous dancer from Mexico who merged the styles of the folclorio dance, or the custom cultural dance from Mexico, with the formal ballet that she was learning. And she started her own dance studio that taught this hybrid style of dance. So this is her story. The illustrations are very colorful and beautiful. This author and illustrator is famous for using an art style that is inspired by the art that Mayans and Aztecs created a long time ago. So that is really, really cool. We're actually going to be learning about ancient Maya, Aztecs, and Incas as part of our history curriculum during this month. So to be able to incorporate something that's kind of a dual purpose, it's a real life story, an inspiring story of a real Latina, but it's also showing off this really cool artwork that is inspired by ancient history in Latin America as well. The next book I have for you is Alma and How She Got Her Name by Juana Martinez Neal. And this story is super cute. Alma has a very long name, and that is very common with a lot of people in the Hispanic culture to have these very long names. So her name is Alma Sofia Esperanza Jose Pura Candela, and she says her name never fits, and she's really sad about it. She does not have an appreciation for her name. And so in the book, her father is having a conversation with her and explaining to her how she got her name. And in fact, each one of her names, or each part of her name, comes from someone important in her family lineage. And so he tells her about each of these people and what made them special. And it makes her just feel so much more comfortable and confident and really proud of her name. This book has quickly become a favorite, so much so that I'm gonna have to buy it and just keep it in our family library. It's called My Papi Has a Motorcycle by Isabel Quintero, illustrated by Zeke Pina. And in this story, we see a little girl who has grown up being able to ride with her father on his motorcycle almost every day. And they go on a tour of their neighborhood, and there is just so much goodness in this. You're getting to see a Latino community and kind of learn more about that. There's a little bit about gentrification in here. There's definitely a little bit of Spanish, although most of the book is written in English. The illustrations are colorful and beautiful. The other thing that's really cool is the neighborhood in this story is actually a real neighborhood in California where the author grew up. So she is kind of doing an homage to her childhood and her neighborhood. And I don't want to give it away, but there's something really special about her neighborhood. And I had no idea that this neighborhood existed. So this was really fun for us to read and learn about that part of California, that neighborhood. Another book that I picked up is called Yum, Que Rico, America's Sproutings. And it is actually a haiku poem by Pat Mora. And the pictures, you guys, are so beautiful. I mean, frame-worthy illustrations. Absolutely gorgeous, colorful illustrations. What this book is doing in a very poetic way is it is talking about the origins of various foods that came from Latin America, Mesoamerican civilizations, foods like maize, corn, foods like chocolate, squash, so many different foods and flavors that started from Mesoamerica or Latin America and then spread to basically the whole continent and then in some cases the whole world. So this is a lot of fun. Of course, there are lots of foods in here that my girls are familiar with. Piña. Lots of foods and flavors that we're familiar with, but there were also a couple that we were not. So this is just super fun to read. Very educational. You get a little poetry, you get a little history, and you get some food. Can't go wrong with that. The next book I have is called The Princess and the Warrior, and you'll notice this is by the same author as Danza. It's the same type of art that's inspired by that ancient Mesoamerican art. This is actually a modern version of a folk tale from Mexico. There are two volcanoes close by, about 40 miles away from Mexico City. And this folk tale is kind of the origin story of those volcanoes. The artwork is really cool. And to me, I found this folklore, this story to be very familiar in a lot of ways. It kind of reminds me of Romeo and Juliet. There is a lot of information in the back, including a full glossary that helps you to pronounce some of the more difficult names and words. You can learn some indigenous vocabulary in Nahuatl, so I think you can really learn a lot from this story. It's just fun to kind of look into cultural folklore. The last book that I found at the library was Bravo, Poems About Amazing Hispanics. And this book is just chock full of poems. I'm not sure that we will even get to all of them. Basically, on each page, you have a beautiful illustration of an influential person who is Latino, and you have a poem about that person. So, for instance, this is Tito Puente, and we have a poem written about him called Brave Music. This book features so many amazing men and women and all of their accomplishments. One last book. This is actually not a library book. We own this book, and I want to buy more about her because Selena Forever, y'all. If you grew up in Texas, you already know. But even if you didn't grow up in Texas, I'm sure by now you have heard of Selena. There's a movie with J-Lo, there's a series on Netflix, and there are some children's books. Selena is such an icon. She's such a huge part of my childhood growing up here in Texas. And yeah, we love Selena. We love her music. We love everything Selena. So this book is The Life of Selena, La Vida de Selena. It is a bilingual picture book and it's a board book, and it is by Patty Rodriguez. The text in this book is super simple. Obviously it's made for very young children, but even my older big kids love this book. It has the text in English and in Spanish, and it's basically just a very simple, brief biography of Selena's life. Super cute pictures. I bought this book for my girls when they were really, really small because, you know, it's a board book. It's for little kids. It's still one of their favorite books. We read this book all the time. And I know that there is another picture book about Selena. I keep seeing it on my friends' Instagram pages, and I have like major FOMO. I need to get my hands on that book. But for now, this is our Selena book that we are still loving. All right, guys, those are all of the books. That was quite a lot. I know that there are so many more amazing and beautiful children's books that are representative of Hispanic and Latino culture and history, and I really wish I could read them all, but this is just what I happen to find at our local libraries. As I mentioned before, we are doing a deep dive into Mesoamerica for ancient history right now. If you want to know more about how we're studying ancient history in Mesoamerica and learning more about the ancient indigenous civilizations there, then stay tuned for my monthly update video at the end of October, and I will be sharing all of the resources and fun things that we have done for that deep dive into Mesoamerica history. As always, thank you so much for watching and spending a few minutes of your day with me. I hope you go enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and click that notifications bell. I will see y'all in the next video. Happy homeschooling.